Hey guys, how's it going? It's Billy here, coming at you with another vinyl update. I didn't think I was going to be filming another vinyl update anytime soon. Honestly, before I left for Florida, which will be next week. Yeah, I think about a week from now I'll be heading down to Florida, down to Jupiter for spring training, and won't return for about a month. Maybe I'm planning on filming a video or two down there. I don't know. I'm planning on possibly trying to do a meetup with some other VC members, DJ High Noon, Tim, Brad at H2 Vinyl, and I believe maybe Ron is in the area as well. So I'm going to try and coordinate that. I'm going to be getting a hold of those guys here soon just to make sure they're available on the day that I have open, and hopefully you'll see a video of another VC meetup. But playing in the background, if you can hear it, I've got it down pretty low because I don't want to be busted by the YouTube police, but we're actually listening to an 8-track copy of Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction. So I think you can see it back, yeah, right back where, let's see if I can get it, it's going in the opposite direction, right there. That's the 8-track machine, and there's the 8-track Countdown to Extinction. Countdown to Extinction. Can't talk today. Anyway, vinyl update. Not sure what number it is, but you'll see in the title. Just vinyl update. A couple things showed up yesterday. First, I want to start off with this one. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 2. Brandon, my buddy Brandon over at Mr. Hall of Fame, I had keyed him in that this was coming out. He wasn't aware. Brandon and I talk about this record all the time, and I actually have an original pressing here. Here is the original pressing, the UK pressing from 93, yeah, 1993, and it sounds pretty bad. It's to be expected anytime you cram nearly 80 minutes of music onto one disc, a single LP. So finally, so stoked. Like I said, Brandon and I talk about this record all the time. Stoked that they finally give this a proper reissue on 2 LPs, and it sounds great. My only concern, and I talked to Brandon just a little while ago and didn't even, forgot to totally bring this up to him. So I spun this yesterday. I totally agree with Brandon that the artwork on here is just so killer. I think his exact words were, it was meant to be displayed in the 12 by 12, and I couldn't agree more. Love the inner gatefold, which has other great photos as well as lyrics to all the songs there. And then of course the back is just your standard back. But 2 LP, 180 gram pressing, custom center labels. I'm not going to get into all that. Put it back in the sleeve here. But my only gripe about this, now this is the best sounding album, and it sounds killer. My only gripe about this is that it seems like it was cut a little bit low volume. I have to turn the volume up a little more than I typically do when I listen to records in order to really get that good jam. But with that being said, I would much rather have it that way than the opposite, them to have cut it too hot and it peak and distort. So that's my only concern with that. But a great, phenomenal record, as you guys know, a great sounding record. So glad that that is finally been reissued properly. Just stoked for that. And then when I opened up the package from Brandon, so Brandon had sent that to me as a VCLT/trade. We always send things back and forth to each other, and so it was very nice for him to have ordered that. Not only was he able to pick it up at our local store, but he picked up another copy, which was very awesome. Thank you for that, Brandon. And then he sent it to me in the mail. So like I said, that showed up yesterday, and I was opening it up, and I saw there were 2 records in there, and I'm like, oh, is this other record a stiffener? No, it was Merle Haggard's his epic hits, the first 11 to be continued. Such a great record. Now, of course, I have this record. I have a couple copies of this record, but this was the first one that is still in shrink with the hype stickers. And of course, Brandon had sent me a picture of this weeks ago. That's just how we, Brandon and I do. And we're out and we see something that the other guy might be interested in. We snap a picture of it. Hey, dude, just thinking of you. You got this. And sometimes he'll just pick up stuff, or I'll just pick up stuff. And other times I'm like, yeah, I definitely want that. So he snagged that for me. Thank you so much for that, Brandon. Really great, nice, clean upgrade copy of Haggard's Epic Hits, the first 11. So that was what I ended up getting from Brandon. And then the rest of this update, there's a couple other things here, but I did some record shopping, kind of unexpected record shopping at a local record store. My sister, who also collects, if you guys are familiar with my videos, my sister came over last Friday, and we went out to lunch, and we're just kind of shooting the breeze, and at some point she had mentioned, hey, what do you got going on after lunch? I'm heading to Edwardsville, which is just a little, couple towns away. There's the ka-chunk of the 8-track. So it's just a couple towns away, and she said she had to go pick up something for work, and was just going to be in and out. And I said, well, Edwardsville, they've got that new record store in Edwardsville. Have you been yet? Did you know? And she's like, no. So she's like, let's go. So we finished up lunch and headed to Edwardsville, and she did her business and then came out, and we stopped by. Nothing on this side, but there we go. Trusty Chords Record Shop in Edwardsville. Now it says established 2018. I believe they opened around Christmas. Very nice little store in town. Clean, well-maintained, well-curated. Organized. Got to speak with the owner. Very, very nice, younger guy. But had a lot of newer stuff in there, a lot of newer pressings. Just obviously trying to get going. But a very, very nice store. I was impressed. I plan on going back, and I recommend anybody in the area, in the St. Louis area, check them out. They're in Edwardsville, Illinois. It's called Trusty Chords Records. So with that being said, my sister had this in the back of her car. She had found this on one of her digs and totally thought of me. This screams me, because her and I, this was my thing growing up, man. Porky's, I loved Porky's. I'm not much of a soundtrack guy, but this one here, I definitely, I had never seen. She picked it up for me, and it is a gold stamp promo. It's more a nostalgic thing, reminds me of her and I, our childhood. But Porky's, what a great movie. I love the series, and glad to have this. Thank you, sis. Thank you for that. So she gave me that, and then we ended up, like I said, going into Trusty Chords, and I swung by. First thing I'm going to do usually is stop by the country section, and found a real nice, clean upgrade copy of Merle Haggard's If We Make It Through December. Such a great album. Obviously the title track, If We Make It Through December. But so many other things on there that are good. It's just a really, really great album, and I think he had like $4 on this, so there was no way I was going to leave that sitting there for $4, especially when I needed it as an upgrade to the collection. Sticking with the country, let me flip through here. The first thing I noticed was he had everything, like, obviously alphabetized, and so I saw Jason Aldean right up front. And Jason Aldean, while I'm not a huge fan of the newer country, you don't see that Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, things like that too much as far as newer vinyl in the country selection. So I was like, wow, Jason Aldean. So I flipped through, and then sure enough, Dierks Bentley, Luke Bryan, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be, he only had like 2 or 3 rows of country, but I knew I was going to find some cool stuff in there, and I did. Obviously, he had your standards, your B.J. Thomas, your Earl Thomas Conley, Merle Haggard, things like that. But one I was super stoked to find, Cody Jinks, Less Wise. This is the modified reissue 2017. Actually, one of my favorite Cody Jinks albums, right up there with I'm Not the Devil and the Adobe Sessions. This is such an underrated album. I'm so glad they finally pressed this thing on vinyl. And again, this is a 2 LP, 180 gram pressing as well. Glad to have that. Steve at Harmless Rebel loves Cody Jinks as well. I wasn't sure if you had that one, Steve. If you don't have that one, I know a lot of you guys have, that we talk about Cody Jinks. There were certain things that were released on vinyl, or sorry, that were only released on CD, and that was one of those things. There's still a couple other things that have not been reissued that a lot of people speak highly of. And unfortunately, I don't have any of his stuff on CD except for his Unchecked Aggression, his metal band, his metal project, which that thing's getting super, super hard to find and very, very pricey. Really good stuff. Kind of has a Pantera vibe if you want to check it out online. It's called Unchecked Aggression. Anyway, it's Cody Jinks doing vocals in his metal band prior to his rise to stardom in country music. Then I was able to find a really, really nice, clean copy, an original pressing of the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo. This is one that has been eluding me for quite some time. Yes, I could jump online and buy it, but it's one of those things that if I'm going to go online, I'm going to buy you know, higher end grails and things like that. And this is one that, like I said, has always just kind of slipped my mind. Such a fantastic record. You know, from the stuff that we all know, you know, You Ain't Going Nowhere, but so many other songs on here that even though I wasn't really familiar with, like off the top of my head as I listened to it, I'm like, man, this is so great. I mean, obviously, you know, Graham Parsons, Roger McGuinn, these guys are fantastic. And I have a couple other Byrds things that I was actually already in the collection, and then I was just gifted some other Byrds stuff, which you'll see in a moment. But what a great album, and so glad to finally have a really nice OG first pressing in the collection. That one wasn't cheap, but it wasn't too expensive either. It's so glad to be able to see those things in a local store. So moving right along, the last thing I picked up at Trusty Chords was a replacement copy of Nazareth's Hot Tracks. This is from 77, I believe. Yeah, 1977. Real nice, clean copy in the shrink with the hype sticker. The last copy I had of this happened to be the only copy that I had of this. And our buddy Scott Waters, who was a huge Nazareth fan, had mentioned that he did not have it, so I sent it to him as a VCLT, knowing that eventually I would track another one down, and here it is. So there you go. I was glad to have that, and the price on that, that's one thing you don't see very often. The price, at least I don't see it that often, and the price on it was $3, you know, $3 or $4. So I was super stoked to get that. So that wrapped up our time at Trusty Chords, again in Edwardsville, Illinois. If you're in the greater St. Louis area, check out Trusty Chords in Edwardsville. New shop, great owners, and the other guy that I don't know if it's co-owned or, but there were two guys in there that kind of had say, whether the other guy's just a worker or a part owner as well. But nice guys. Check them out and let me know what you think. I plan on continuing to support them as well, and as well as Brandon said the same thing. So with all that being said, that was going to be enough to do an update. And then yesterday, obviously the package from Brandon arrived, and as I was signing or picking it up, I met the postman outside. My neighbor Doug had seen that I was getting a record, because I get them all the time, and he was going to get his mail as well. You know, the post truck pulled up out front. I met him. Here comes Doug. We got to talking. I'm like, yeah, this is a record from my buddy, blah, 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 telling him about the Meatloaf and things like that. And he's like, you know what? I've got a stack of records that we were just cleaning out the basement and getting ready to get rid of some stuff. I was going to donate them. He's like, come over and get them. So I went over. We kind of shot the bull for a little bit. I dug through. I'd say he probably had 50 records, which for the casual music fan is quite a lot of records. Now these are all records from primarily from the 60s, early 70s, but and he played his records. They're not, most of them aren't in near mint condition by any stretch of the imagination, but they're still nice, they're still playable, and they're still nice to add to the collection, especially the fact that he just gave them to me. It was very, very nice. So let me first of all, thank you, Doug. I know he's not watching, but thank you, Doug. Here is first thing here. Nice to see some fresh cream in there, and he had, of course, written his name on the top. But there is a really, really nice, and like I said, I haven't had a chance to go through these. I just got these yesterday. I have not had a chance to see if these are first pressings or just early pressings, but they're obviously early pressings, if not first pressings. But real nice to have this in the collection. You normally don't see this one around, and when you do, it's usually beat up. Not that this one is perfect, but it's still very nice. A real nice playable copy. Glad to have that and add it to the collection. Next, I'm going to self-admittedly let you guys know I am not the world's biggest Jefferson Airplane fan, but this one was very, very cool. The Worst of Jefferson Airplane on the RCA, His Master's Voice label. So I didn't have this one. I have some Jefferson Airplane stuff, you know, Surrealistic Pillow. A lot of the earlier stuff I do kind of like. So I will definitely give this one a spin. I'm moving right along. A really, really nice copy of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young's Deja Vu. This one is one of those that you typically see beat up, tons of ring wear, but this is as clean as it comes. So Doug, thank you so much for that one. Definitely an upgrade to the one that I have in the collection. This here, Glen Campbell, Highwayman. Did not have this one. As many Glen Campbell records as I have in my collection, did not have this one. And this is from, what year did this come out? I'll tell you what, my eyes are getting so bad. 1979, Capitol Records. So there's the back. You can see how small the text is there on the back. So 1979, Glen Campbell, Highwayman. Glad to add that one to the collection. And again, another beautiful, beautiful upgrade copy. This is definitely an early pressing of Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, and other love songs. I can pull it out and show you, but just an absolutely beautiful copy of that. So glad to have it. Such a great record, as you all will know. And then I showed you the Byrds album earlier. These, it was crazy that these came from Doug, and I ended up getting them just yesterday. So after I just picked up Sweetheart of the Rodeo, here's some more Byrds, which I have not been able to check out yet. I'm going to get these cleaned up and spin these hopefully before I leave for Florida. So this is the Byrds, Younger Than Yesterday. So there's that. A little trippy, psychedelic back cover. So I'm kind of assuming maybe that's the direction they're going in this one. I don't know a date on. I did look for a date on this one, but I don't know when that one was recorded. Like I said, I haven't went through Discogs and looked at these yet. Here's another Byrds, the Fifth Dimension. So, like I said, always glad to add this kind of stuff because I really do dig a lot of especially the early Byrds stuff. So there's the Fifth Dimension, the Byrds. And then these were really cool. My buddy Mitch Wood is going to like these. Like I said, by no stretch of the imagination, in near mint condition, but still very nice. You see these beat up all the time. I'm not sure if this is a first pressing or not. I know there's like an ad or something on either on the inner sleeve or on the gatefold. But I'll go over it with Mitch. And honestly, I'm not that concerned because it's not in the best of condition, but it's still nice. Maybe I'm going to just throw it in the collection and keep it because Mitch ended up getting my first press, very nice copy of this that I had. We worked out a trade, and I couldn't see it going to anyone else but Mitch. He's the guy that's going to respect it and appreciate it for what it is. So, but this is going to go in my collection, and who knows, maybe somewhere down the line there'll be some young kid that will want to get his first experience of Zappa and Mothers, and this will be the perfect opportunity to do that without spending an arm and a leg. So there you have Freak Out by Mothers, and then here's another one. This one is much nicer. This is absolutely free. Of course, on the Verve label there. So there's your couple nice things by Zappa and the Mothers. like I said, I appreciate my neighbor Doug for thinking of me on those. So that's my update. It will probably most likely be the last you'll see of me until I head down to Florida. Hopefully I'll be able to do a video or two while I'm down there, because I do, even if I'm not able to meet up with Tim, Brad, and Ron, I do plan on hitting a handful of record stores, and we'll hopefully be able to do a video. I've been saving up a little bit of money, and hopefully gonna come home with some nice stuff from Florida. They have some good stuff last time I was down there, and hopefully that streak continues. So guys, as always, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. I know I've been a little lax on getting back and replying to comments, but I have been liking or hearting your comments, so at least everybody knows I read every comment that is posted. I appreciate it so much. I do try and will try to respond as I get time to your comments. So that really means a lot to not just me, but any of us who make Vinyl Community YouTube videos. So keep doing that. Keep listening to music. Keep watching videos, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, guys. Peace.